Imagine an empire of cattle confinement larger than many countries. A billion-dollar business model that moves millions of dollars and impacts an entire industry. Did you know that there is a company in the United States that controls more cattle than some countries have people? Its name is Cactus Feeders, and what's even more impressive is that it's not the only one. But what does this kind of business really mean for the global market and our food? Let's dive into that now. Cattle confinement is an ancient practice, but it has gained enormous proportions in today's world. Cactus Feeders, with its business model, is not just an American giant, but one of the largest in the world, with the capacity to fatten millions of cattle annually. This represents a crucial part of the United States meat production chain and directly impacts the global economy. But what makes this model so efficient and yet so controversial? In confinement, animals are kept in restricted spaces, fed in a controlled manner, and their diet is optimized to speed up growth. It's a practice aimed at maximizing profits, but it also sparks a major debate about the living conditions of animals and environmental impacts. Have you ever stopped to think about the environmental impact of an operation of this scale? The amount of natural resources, like water and feed, required to sustain such a system is enormous. And the pollution generated by waste treatment is one of the biggest challenges. However, Cactus Feeders and other major companies in the industry have been adapting and investing in technologies to reduce this impact, seeking more sustainable alternatives. It's an ongoing battle between mass production and the need for environmental preservation. But how far can we go in reconciling these two realities? The market demands mass production, but the planet calls for more responsibility. To understand the implications of the cattle confinement model, we need to look deeply not only at the benefits, but also at the complexities and challenges that this system involves. Cactus Feeders doesn't operate alone. It is part of a network of meat industry giants that move billions of dollars, and its impact goes far beyond simply supplying meat to markets. The supply chain is incredibly interconnected. When we talk about cattle confinement, we're also talking about an immense logistics operation involving feeding, transportation, and waste management. For an operation like Cactus Feeders to function, enormous quantities of grains, forage, and other inputs are required, and as a result, the environmental impact increases significantly. However, companies like this have been investing in innovation, seeking ways to reduce both operational costs and environmental impact. The use of technologies such as artificial intelligence and animal health monitoring, for instance, are some of the strategies adopted to optimize production and, at the same time, improve the animal's quality of life. Another crucial point is the sustainability of feed. The grains used to feed cattle come from vast plantations of soy and corn, often grown in deforested areas. This places the practice in an ethically and environmentally sensitive area, leading governments and NGOs to demand a more responsible stance from large companies. However, the costs of adapting to more sustainable practices are high, and this raises the question, how far will companies go to balance profitability with environmental responsibility? Additionally, it is important to consider the impact of cattle confinement on the global meat market. As one of the largest meat producers, the United States directly influences meat prices worldwide. Therefore, Cactus Feeders' business model doesn't just affect American consumers, but also international markets. The demand for meat continues to rise, especially in developing countries, putting even more pressure on production practices. Throughout this video, we've explored how Cactus Feeders and other giants of cattle confinement shape the global meat industry, with a profound impact on the economy, the environment, and the ethics of food production. Now, it's time to reflect. Is the business model adopted by these companies sustainable? Will they be able to find a balance between mass production and the preservation of natural resources. On one hand, cattle confinement ensures that production is maximized to meet the growing demand for meat in the global market. On the other hand, the environmental costs, such as excessive water usage and soil degradation, raise serious issues that cannot be ignored. However, technological innovation offers a glimpse of a future where more sustainable practices might be possible. The introduction of new feeding methods, improved waste management, and production optimization with artificial intelligence are some of the advancements being tested and implemented to minimize the damage caused by the activity. However, true change will only occur when there is a shift in mindset from both companies and consumers. The pressures for more ethical and sustainable food are increasing, and large corporations will need to adapt to survive in an increasingly conscious and demanding market. The future of food largely depends on how we align economic interests with environmental needs. So when thinking about the impact of Cactus Feeders and other companies in the sector, the question is, what are you willing to do to ensure that the future of meat production is more responsible? Is it possible to balance the demand for food with the preservation of the planet? What do you think? We've reached the end of this video, and if you made it this far, congratulations! You're closer to understanding how major companies like Cactus Feeders are shaping the future of meat production and how this impacts both our wallets and the environment. Reflecting on what we can do to make this process more sustainable is crucial. We can no longer turn a blind eye to the impact the food industry has on the planet. Now, I want to invite you to take the next step. Don't forget to check out our other recommended videos on the final screen. Each one brings valuable insights for you to understand the behind the scenes of the food industry and much more. And before you go, leave a comment below. What do you think about cattle confinement practices? How do you believe we can balance production with environmental preservation? If you've made it to the end, congratulations, you are a successful person. Your opinion matters, so share it with us.